Welcome back to the channel, where we read the books you pretend to have read so you can sound smart at dinner parties. Today we are diving into the holy grail of self-improvement, the Bible of getting your act together, Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you have ever set a New Year's resolution on January 1st and abandoned it by January 4th to eat leftover pizza in your underwear, this video is for you. Before we jump in, do me a massive favor. Smash that like button like it owes you money, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on me fixing your life, and drop a comment below. Seriously, tell me, what is the one habit you have been trying to quit for years? For me, it is doom scrolling on social media until my eyes bleed. Let's talk about it in the comments. I read all of them because I crave validation just as much as you do. All right, let's get into it. Atomic Habits. The basic premise of this book is delightfully boring. James Clear basically looks at the hustle culture, the grind set mindset, and the people screaming at you to take massive action, and he says, nah, that is garbage. He argues that real change does not come from doing one giant thing perfectly. It comes from doing hundreds of tiny, insignificant things consistently. He calls these atomic habits because, like atoms, they are microscopic, but they build up to form molecules and then cells, and then eventually a fully functional human being who actually flosses their teeth. Let's start with the first major concept, which is the power of 1%. This is the math part, but don't click away. I promise to keep it painless. Clear says that if you get 1% better each day for 1 year, you will end up 37 times better by the time you are done. Conversely, if you get 1% worse every day, you decline down to nearly zero. Think of it like being a pilot flying a plane from Los Angeles to New York. If you change the nose of the plane just a few feet to the south, you don't notice it immediately. The passengers are still drinking their tiny tomato juices and watching bad movies. But after a few hours of flying, that tiny shift means you don't land in New York. You land in Washington, D.C., and nobody wants to be in D.C. by accident. That is what your daily habits are doing. That one burger isn't making you fat today, but eat it every day, and in a year, you are landing in a completely different destination called Heart Disease City. The problem is, we live in a world that demands instant gratification. We want Amazon Prime delivery speeds for our life goals. We go to the gym for 3 days, look in the mirror, no abs, and say, well, clearly this is a scam, passes me the donuts. This brings us to the second key lesson, which Clear calls the plateau of latent potential. This is a fancy way of describing that annoying gap between doing the work and seeing the results. Imagine you are sitting in a freezing cold room with an ice cube on the table. You start heating up the room. It goes from 25 degrees to 26, then 27. The ice cube is still sitting there, mocking you. It looks exactly the same. You heat it to 28, 29, 30, 31, still nothing. You feel like an idiot. You have put in all this energy and have nothing to show for it. But then you hit 32 degrees and the ice begins to melt. That breakthrough didn't happen because of the shift from 31 to 32. It happened because of all the work you did before that when it looked like nothing was happening. This is why you quit your diet. You are stuck in the valley of disappointment. You think you are wasting your time, but you're actually just storing up potential energy. So stop crying because you aren't rich or ripped after 2 weeks. You're just heating up the ice cube. Chill out. Now, let's talk about identity. This is probably the deepest part of the book, so listen up. Most people try to change their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. They say, I want to run a marathon. That is an outcome. Clear says you need to flip the script. You shouldn't focus on what you want to achieve, but on who you want to become. Here's the difference. Imagine two people are offered a cigarette. The first person says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. That sounds reasonable, right? Wrong. It implies they are still a smoker who is just attempting to deny themselves a treat. The second person says, no thanks, I am not a smoker. Boom. Huge difference. The second person has shifted their identity. They don't identify as a smoker anymore, so smoking doesn't align with who they are. It's like those vegan CrossFit people. You know the ones. You don't have to ask if they are vegan. They will tell you within 30 seconds of meeting you. Why? Because it is their identity. It is who they are. You need to fake it until you become it. Don't say, I want to write a book. Say, I am a writer. Writers write every day, so you write. You have to prove it to yourself with small wins. Every time you go to the gym, you are casting a vote for the type of person you want to be. Cast enough votes, and you win the election of your own identity. Okay, let's get practical. How do we actually build these habits without relying on willpower? Because let's be honest, your willpower is weaker than a wet paper towel. James Clear gives us 4 laws of behavior change. Law number 1 is make it obvious. Most of your bad habits are automatic reactions to your environment. You sit on the couch, you see the remote, you turn on the TV. You walk into the kitchen, you see the cookie jar, you eat the cookie. You are a simple creature. To change this, you need to redesign your environment. If you want to play guitar, don't keep it in its case in the back of the closet. Put it on a stand in the middle of the living room so you trip over it. If you want to drink more water, put full water bottles everywhere like you're preparing for an apocalypse. On the flip side, if you want to break a bad habit, make it invisible. If you can't stop playing video games, unplug the console and put it in a box in the garage after every session. If you want to stop eating junk food, stop buying it. You can't eat Oreos at midnight if there are no Oreos in the house. I know, groundbreaking stuff, right? A great hack for this is called habit stacking. The formula is, after I do current habit, I will do new habit. You take something you already do on autopilot, like brushing your teeth or pouring coffee, and you attach a new habit to it. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. The coffee is the trigger. You don't have to think about it. It takes the decision-making out of the process. Law number 2 is make it attractive. We are driven by dopamine. We want to feel good. We love anticipation. That is why thinking about going on vacation is sometimes better than the actual vacation where you lose your luggage and get a sunburn. You need to use this to your advantage through something called temptation bundling. This is where you pair an action you need to do with an action you want to do. Let's say you love listening to true crime podcasts where they describe gruesome murders, but you hate running. Make a rule. You are only allowed to listen to the Murder Hour podcast while you are running. Now you actually look forward to the run because you want to know who the killer is. You are hacking your brain to enjoy the hard work. Law number 3 is make it easy. Humans are lazy. We are evolutionarily designed to conserve energy. We will always choose the path of least resistance. That is why scrolling TikTok is easier than doing burpees. TikTok requires 0 calories. Burpees require a will to live that I frankly do not possess most days. To build a habit, you must decrease the friction. Make it so easy you can't say no. Clear introduces the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Want to read more? Your goal isn't to read a book a week. Your goal is to read 1 page. Want to do yoga? Your goal is to take out the yoga mat. That's it. You might think, well, that is stupid. Reading 1 page won't change anything. But the point is to master the art of showing up. You can't improve a habit that doesn't exist. Establish the habit first, even if it's laughably small, and optimize it later. A standard habit is easy to skip. A 2-minute habit is harder to skip than it is to just do it. And conversely, to break a bad habit, make it difficult. Increase the friction. If you want to stop checking your phone while working, leave your phone in another room. If you want to stop eating junk food, stop buying it. You can't eat Oreos at midnight if there are no Oreos in the house. I know, groundbreaking stuff, right? Finally, law number 4 is make it satisfying. This is about the reward. We repeat what is immediately rewarded and we avoid what is immediately punished. The problem with good habits is that the reward is usually delayed. You save money now, you get to retire in 40 years. Yay! You skip the take now, you look good next summer. Boring. You need to give yourself an immediate reward for doing the right thing. It can be small, like if you finish your study session, you get to watch an episode of that show you like. But the best way to make it satisfying is to track it. Use a habit tracker. It is oddly satisfying to put an X on a calendar. It is visual proof that you are not a total failure. Jerry Seinfeld used this method. He aimed to write jokes every day. Every day he wrote, he put a big red X on a wall calendar. After a few days, he had a chain. His only goal was, don't break the chain. If you miss a day, you break the visual streak, and that feels terrible. So you do the habit just to keep the pretty pattern going. We are basically toddlers who love gold stars. Embrace it. But hey, life happens. You will miss a day. Clear has a rule for this. Never miss twice. Missing one workout happens, that's an anomaly. Missing 2 workouts is the start of a new lazy habit. If you fall off the wagon, get back on immediately. A lot of people have this all-or-nothing mentality where if they eat 1 slice of pizza, they think, well, I ruined my diet, might as well eat the whole box and drink a gallon of ranch dressing. No, just because you got a flat tire doesn't mean you slash the other 3 tires. Just change the tire and keep going. So, to wrap this up, stop looking for the magic pill. There is no magic sauce. Success is not a goal to reach or a finish line to cross. It is a system to improve, an endless process to refine. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. If you want to change your life, forget about the goals and focus on the system. Focus on becoming the type of person who does the things you want to do. Start small. I'm talking embarrassingly small. Do 1 push-up, read 1 sentence, floss 1 tooth. Just get the reps in. Let the compound interest of self-improvement do the heavy lifting for you. And eventually, you will look back and realize you have become a completely different person, all without having to suffer through some miserable, life-altering transformation montage. That is the breakdown of atomic habits. If you apply even 10% of this, you will be ahead of 99% of the population who are just wishing things would get better. All right, that is it for today's video. If you found this helpful, or if you just enjoyed hearing me ramble, please hit that like button. It helps the algorithm show this to other people who desperately need to get their lives together. Subscribe if you want more book summaries that cut through the nonsense. And seriously, comment below, what is the tiny habit you are going to start today? I want to see 1,000 comments saying, I will floss 1 tooth, or I will put my running shoes by the door. Let's hold each other accountable. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you in the next one. Now go do something productive. Or don't. I'm a YouTube video, not the police. Peace.